All right, coming up next, we mull things over with Mullinger.
I am selling fiddleheads out of the back of the truck on the side of a road.
The British export gets real about life in Canada. He's in the studio next with Katie Kelly.
That doesn't sound like a way to get rich.
A comedian, eh? Now that's interesting.
No, retired comedian. I've given all that nonsense up. I'm just really trying to focus on more important things, like my family. Just leave it, boys.
That's a little taste of Brit out of water, the first English-speaking sitcom ever filmed in New Brunswick. It stars award-winning comedian James Mullinger, and he joins us live in studio now. So good to see you.
You too, Katie. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. So you drove up from Fredericton today?
I did indeed,
How was that beautiful drive?
It was a wonderful drive. I love the drive from New Brunswick into Nova Scotia. It makes me so happy.
And do you ever get used to driving on the right side of the road?
I do. Well, my wife says I'm such a terrible driver that it doesn't really make any difference. So,
Okay, that's funny. So we saw a little bit of your new sitcom there. Tell me a little bit more about Brit Out of Water.
Yeah, it's the first English-speaking sitcom, as you mentioned, ever to be filmed in New Brunswick, set in New Brunswick, about New Brunswick. And it's about an English comedian who accidentally, or is kind of forced to move to a small town in New Brunswick due to a kind of a Brexit-related disaster, a kind of a scandal relating to Brexit. And it's obviously based somewhat on my experiences, but highly...
Minus the Brexit part.
Yeah, I wasn't forced to. I moved to New Brunswick by choice. I'm not in witness protection. There was no Brexit scandal. And it's really about him trying to find his way here, falling in love with the place and the people. And really, it's myself and co-creator Alan Lawden's love letter to life in the Maritimes.
Yes, awesome. And it's available now.
It is.
All of the first season?
Yes, all 6 episodes are on Bell 5 TV1 right now, and it's a good binge watch in one go. We wanted to create something really that just people within the region could feel proud of, but also one of the best things is getting letters from people in Vancouver saying, I've never thought of coming to New Brunswick before, and now I want to come. And that is, to me, that is job done. We want people to laugh, but also to see what we have here.
I love that. And speaking of which, I know it's been 10 years since you moved to the Maritimes. I have to know, what is your favorite thing about the East Coast?
Good question. I mean, so much. I live in Rossay, New Brunswick, just outside St. John. I love everything about the sense of community. I think that is something which kind of infuses everywhere. I couldn't believe it when I first moved, when I first visited here, like 20 years ago, and I'm walking around, and every single place that you go in the Maritimes, you bump into someone you know. And I just think, how can it be possible that 3 fairly big provinces compared to small towns in England, and everywhere you go, first time I got here, we drove 4 hours, we were in Edmundston, we get out of the car, and someone comes running over and grabs my father-in-law and hugs him, and I'm like, how do you know this guy? We're 4 hours away. And he said, and the guy goes, Barry changed my septic tank in 1976. And I thought, this is amazing. There is 1 degree of separation between everyone.
Totally.
That's my favorite thing, without question.
I love that. That is classic. And I feel like people, I don't know, people love come from a ways, and I mean, the British accent has to help, for sure. I was already, he said he was going to go have a wee right before the show, and he gave me his mobile phone number. So there must be a lot of differences for you that way too, like we mentioned, even the driving thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many word differences. Ones that I'm still learning now, but I mean, the one that I definitely got caught out with very early on in my first week is that these trousers are called pants here. But in England, pants are the underpants.
Right.
Yeah, made my first doctor's appointment very awkward.
Oh my gosh, okay, that's funny.
It's, but yes, there's tons of word differences, but you know what, it's comedy gold. For, you know, and really as a stand-up comedian, your job is to be kind of a fish out of water. It's generally about culture clashes, so to come to a place where I'm different was really a joy, because noticing things is what we do.
Yeah. I have so much I want to get in, and we're getting close to the end of the time, but last time we talked to your memoir, you just released it. It's now a international bestseller. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have an audio version coming out very soon.
Yes, the audiobook is coming out in a couple of weeks. It'll be on Audible and everywhere else. And that was so much fun and strange and cathartic to kind of read these words that I'd written. And it was an incredible experience. And I got to do it with a music producer who also is a British guy who moved to St. John, and he'd worked with people like the Rolling Stones and Keith Richards' solo albums as well. I mean, just this kind of music legend. And I'm in there just kind of reading out my silly books and talking about silly things about what a comedian thinks of the Maritimes. But yeah, I'm really, really pumped that people get to listen to the book with this annoying accent, which I find very grating. I'm not a fan of the British accent at all. So I understand. People that don't like listening to me, I understand. I feel for you.
Well, for the people that do, you have a new special out that is last year's routine, but it talks about, you know, becoming Canadian. So that's available now. But you also have a tour that you're embarking on for this year with a whole new routine?
Absolutely. Been workshopping this new show. Essentially, while I was touring the last one, I was writing the new one and then spent 5 months workshopping it at a beautiful little brewery in Rothesay called Long Bay, where I would night after night just test stuff, come up with a scrap of paper, and if people liked it, they laughed. If they didn't, they didn't, and I would tape record it and type it up. And now I have a new show, 10 years in Canada, and it's about celebrating this wonderful place that I love so much, and this place that welcomed me, and where I found, I mean, all of my dreams came true here. If someone out there is wondering, like, how do I find happiness, how do I find success in life, marry someone from the Maritimes. That's your answer right there. It worked for me. It's been the best 10 years of my life, and now the new stand-up show is 90 minutes devoted to sharing that love, and with a few laughs on the way as well.
Amazing. Well, on that note, marry someone from the Maritimes. I love that. Thank you, James. Always so great to see you.
Thank you.
People can find all the info you need on James. Just look him up social media or his website, James Mullinger. Here's Maria.
Oh, thanks, you guys.